He's lava empty, a sense of void. If you include a nice chunk of news story or a bad chunk of news story, he's not possessing how man to speak on it. Missing such human beings in your lifetime can be very difficult. Michelle Lloyd is 33 and lives in London. She is amiable and talkative and enjoys her job. She seems to include all departure for her, but she feels lone. She has lived in a few various cities, so her friends are distribution about the nation and tend to be lively in their family at output. She does go for drinks in associate following job, but tells me he's the more profound relationships she misses. I'm really nice at creature talkative, I can say to nobody, but how doesn't indicate I'm capable to include such steady relationships in human beings, says Michelle. Thou can be in a team and it can be frightening since thou deliberate of not producing human beings get to aware the actual thou. I would say I've ever had an item of sense lone. Always with I was a adolescent, I've ever felt a slight bit various and individual of big groups of friends, but in the recent 5 year he's crept in more than. Michelle has skilled concern and depressive that she finds can strengthen her solitude since she finds it difficult to articulate adverse tension. If I'm in a team, I frequently discover myself proverb I'm large while human beings ask how I am. He's nearly love and of body expertise since I can listen myself proverb these favorable things, while I'm thought on how I struggled to get out bed day yesterday. He's the solitude of knowledge how you sense in yours own chief and never creature capable to speak human beings. He's enticing to sign how thing on contemporary lifetime is setting youthful human beings at a high hazard of solitude, but while we requested older human beings in our examination on the loneliest times in their lives, they as well told it was while they were youthful. Down there are several reasons why junior human beings might sense lonelier. The year among 16 and 24 are frequently a period of transfer wherever human beings go household, construct their identities and try to discover new friends. Meantime, they've not had the opportunity to expertise solitude as thing interim, helpful though, motive us to discover new friends or kindle old friendships. 41% of human beings trust how solitude can occasionally be a favorable expertise. But which the results do propose is how solitude matters at all ages. While solitude becomes persistent, it can include a severe effect on both of public health and so-being. To try to pin downward why several sense so lone, we looked at the differences among human beings. Such who said us they ever or frequently felt lone had reduced levels of confidence in other. The examination was a picture in period, so we can't speak wherever the absence of confidence in other came of, but down there is several testimony of early study how if human beings sense permanently lone they can be more than susceptible to aversion. Think you begin a talk in who in a store and they don't answer, if thou sense desperate lone, later you might sense discarded and miracle if he's thing on thou. Michelle recognizes several of the in herself. Thou be rather close away. You are behavior in so lot things one how while human beings do get and concern you can be rather defense occasionally. It can be extremely weakening creature lone. The relation among solitude and conducting period 1 is facility. 83% of human beings in our research told they love creature on their own. A tertiary did say how creature 1 makes them sense lone and in several cases insulation is obviously at the origin of their solitude. Nest Star is 96 and lives 1 in Eastbourne, on the southward shore of England, following loser his woman in 2010. On his sill sits the pungball-sized fate how hit him, outgoing a opening in his brow, while he consumable more than rather than 3 year as a Japan POW for Planet War couple. Present, he says, the day's sense really length, but to divert oneself of his solitude he fills his period written novels and verse, game piece of music and art. I love to hold lively. I'm artistic, he's a damn, he says. It was his creation that stored him departure while he was detained prisoner all such many decades back. He would compose comical acting and execute them for the some prisoners, fashioning phase curtains out of Rees sacks. Following the war he was on a boat train that was fair hauling out of the plant while a youthful female on the plate shouted to him how he could get her to the pictures if he favorite. At first he mind she didn't indicate it, but he did note her nice chief of wool. They did go on a day and marital the identical year. Following 65 year of lucky wedding she had a course, accompanied by else, advanced imbecility and ultimately dead. The is while his ego of solitude began. Solitude feels love a profound pain, he says. He's odd while you discover the building blank, you very dong-ti aware which to do. We took pleasure in the easy things in lifetime, love walks. We utilized to go period following period to look the puff shadows on the sea at Seven Sisters. And how's, which I miss, how kind of friendly communication how is so shut and so intensive. Nest has found several consolation in his machine. Now how same's too fragile to keep the building really frequently, he says he's outdoor up the planet. While we discussed the use of public print in the examination, we found how human beings who sense lone use Facebook otherwise, with it more than for amusement and to communicate in human beings. They include less friends who overlapping in actual lifetime, and more than on the internet only friends. Public print might increase ego of solitude, but it can as well assist communicate human beings. Michelle has found it both of helps and hinders. Via blogging, human beings include been in concern and house large, but while I am at my minimum, departure on Instagram and vision human beings possessing these wonderful lives and using themselves does do you sense, reason can't I include how? I believe he's very essential to recall how human beings just put up the fun material, she adds. I believe we should be more than fair on public print. Celebrities are hard to be a bit more than fair on the less than charming sides of their lives, but down there's a length way to come. The examination as well found how human beings who sense discriminated versus for any cause, love their sexiness or a invalidity, were more than potential to sense lone. Megan gender is 26. Love Nest and Michelle, she's really communicative and vivid. She is curtain and looks behind now on a really lone period at high school, set separately by her invalidity and though more than so by other reactions to it. I went to a main, all-girls second high school, says Megan. It was okay for the at first pair of year and later while girls hit their youthful year they be concerned in composition, periodicals and how boys see, all rather visible things. I favorite my books and animals, so I didn't include the identical interests. I couldn't say on if boys were lovely, so down there was how nature increasing separately. In training session school students would frequently job in pairs. While the tutor requested the entire grade who requested to job in Megan, down there would be an uncomfortable silence before ultimately the tutor coupled up in her. Occasionally she felt the personnel set a bad sample. I would put my brush up needy assist of the tutor and the tutor would disregard me or do inadequate comments on me. School students find out a lot of age part model at how age and they saw how the teaching staff didn't aware which to do in me, Megan says. I felt terrible. My psychological public health was the lowest he's always been. I requested to die quite rather than be at high school. Later in year 11 they coordinated how I could do a lot of my job at household. I found how was lot superior rather than creature tense out at high school and it learned me large research skills. Now Megan is student for a wizard's extent and lifetime has be facilitating, but she says how down there are yet aspects of her invalidity that can do her sense lone. As a curtain man we can't do eye pin or use flesh tongue. If who can see comes in a chamber they will tend to who smiles at them. I'm not smile before I aware how they are down there, so they don't get any feedback loop of me. This disappointment is how I am sure quite to go up to human beings and talk, but I include to expect for human beings to go to me. It does indicate the friends I include are very specific although, since they're the type of human beings who persevered. I cherish the friends I include so lot more than since I don't include lot of them. While Meg at first got an aid hound, knowledge how lot human beings loving dogs, she wondered if the dog might paint human beings in to say to her, but she's found how's not ever the instance. Creature and aid dog proprietor brings its own kind of solitude, alone in a crowd script, she says. If human beings begin stroking the dog, I'll use how to begin a talk, but rather a lot of human beings fair go away. Occasionally I sense I'm clouded by my hound. I aware I'm not lovely and fluffy, but I do include thing to propose. I requested Megan if she has tested connecting any clubs or schemes intended to ease solitude. She would love to, but finds accessing can be a issue. Meetups are uncomfortable since human beings don't aware how to attitude me. I newly tested to accede a walk team in my hound, but they rode behind and told I necessary to discover a team how walk slow. I'm a quick goer. They should solve how quick we go along. If I do go to a team, I'm in the angle and everyone swirls about me. But the more than groups I could accede, the superior. As period goes on, Meg has found how one decision is to rotate to her telephone. As you increase, you evolve mastering strategies. If I sense very poor, now I fall human beings a communication. I don't speak them, I'm sense poor, I'm fair manufacturing protection and achieving of, so I can job via how sense. I was so miserable at high school. A lot of human beings walked via out of noticing, but though if you got a appreciate thou or a high at low, it was in cooperation. I wasn't capable to go up to human beings and say hi since I didn't aware wherever they were. So he's one way of receive noted. He's pleasant to be seen as useful, quite rather than there's the supernatural curtain lady once again. Else of Megan's tips is to say to teaching staff as if they're actual human beings, and not fair yours teaching staff. Though as a adolescent, if thou re how lone you don't thoroughness who you say to. I recall speaking to a tutor who said me her cat had kittens. Subsequently I mind, how's one less than breakdown period consumable one. Megan says she believes not creature capable to see has done her kinder to other human beings incite magistrate human beings on decorum, and I don't since I can't. He's probable how solitude has done her kinder too much. We found how human beings who say they frequently sense lone score high on ordinary for public sympathy. They are superior at spot while who else is sense discarded or eliminated, perhaps since they include skilled it themselves. But while it comes to confidence, the received information are really various. Though they may be more than insight of some human beings' emotion ache, on ordinary human beings who say they frequently sense lone had reduced levels of confidence in other and high levels of concern, both of that can do it stronger to do friends. Michelle can refer to the I occasionally sense how human beings are fair creature pitiful by needing to expend period in me. I do include confidence issues and I believe they stalk of my concern. I believe while you be lone you do begin to see inside an issue human beings' motives. You discover oneself wonder if human beings expend period in me since they wish to, or since they sense those guilty. Occasionally he's offered how human beings testing solitude requirement to find out the public skills how would assist them to do friends, but we found how human beings who thick felt lone had public skills how were fair as top as everyone else's. So instead of, maybe which's necessary are strategies to assist transactions in the concern of meet new human beings. Human beings of 237 various countries, islands and territories took portion in the examination. This kind of civilization you dwell in has implications for solitude. Human beings of cultures that tend to put a top importance on autonomy, such as Northern Europe and the US, said us they would be less than potential to speak a fellow on their solitude. To these cultures relationships in partners seemed to be especially essential in the preventive of solitude to cultures wherever stretched. Household is frequently underlined, such as Southern Europe, Roman America, Asia and Africa. Older female in special were at reduced hazard of sense lone both of nest and Michelle discover output the tough. Michelle would love to go out for late breakfast, but has not one to go in. Thou can do these things on yours their own, but he's not as entertainment, since you can try the some man's meal, she says. Pleasant weather makes it worst. You see human beings meeting external amusing and joke, and I believe how I wish to be portion of how. If I remain in all weekend cockpit dengue will set in, so I get myself off to Oxford Road and expend cash I don't definitely include. He's not the largest wholesome or pragmatic way of behavior in solitude, but he's on creature about human beings, and he's large since you can miss oneself in the mob. So which might assist? We requested human beings that solutions to solitude they had found useful. At quantity, one was diverting oneself by devoting period to job, research, or hobbies. Following was connecting a public clubhouse, but the as well emerging in the listing of the top 3 useless things how some human beings propose. If you sense in isolation later, connecting a clubhouse might assist, but if you discover it difficult to confidence human beings, you might yet sense lone in a mob. Quantity 3 was hard to changing yours thought to do it more than favorable. The is facilitating told rather than made, but down there are cognition behavioral strategies that could assist human beings to confidence other. For sample, if who snubs thou, you might suppose he since they don't love thou, but if you ask oneself frankly which testimony you include for how, you might discover down there isn't all. Instead of you can find out to put striker option explanations, how they were weary, or lively or concerned. The following largest overall suggestions were to begin a talk in nobody, say to friends and household on yours ego, and to see for the nice in each man you encounter. Human beings said us the largest useless proposal how some human beings do is to go on dates. Michelle says she does sense lonelier now she's not in relation, but knows how meet who knew wouldn't resolve all. He's essential to recall you can be lone though while thou re in a relation, she says. Nest yet misses his deceased woman desperate. I requested him if he would believe dividing a building so how he had business, but he says same's too set in his ways. He wouldn't wish to go to a housing household in some older human beings since later same d absence the area to color and compose. So, too fragile to keep the building, he named the Mercy the Silvery Link, who organized for a voluntary to telephone him each Saturday for a length talk. His 3 family dwell a pair of several hours off, but they all telephone often and he has who comes in for 2 several hours on weekdays to assist of. All of them makes a distinction, he says, but he finds it yet doesn't offer him the friendly communication he had previous. This weekend is a gloomy period, says Nest. This period can pull. I don't include any friends since all my friends are corpse. All the lady I favorite are corpse. At the age almost all is corpse, besides me. I'm yet there at 96 or a half. I requested Nest which he thinks the solutions are. Do which you can do. If thou reportable you can exceed a grade or, if no, do thing artistic on yours their own. While thou art easy watercolors you are so intention on which thou making how you can't believe on whatever else. Else of the solutions offered in the examination was to begin conversations in everyone you encounter. Nest does how. He's a courteous item to make, he says. If you can discover and concern how this some man has acquired, he's a nice way to begin a talk. Several organizations run projects to ease solitude, but Michelle hasn't yet found everywhere she would be convenient visiting. Wherever do you go to discover friends if thou 33, she asks. Human beings tell, receive a hound. I would loving it, but he's not equitable on the dog at the period in my lifetime. Perhaps workout would be nice, connecting a yoga class grade perhaps, or volunteering. I aware how strong how can constitute. But following blogging on her solitude she might be conclusion her own decision, adapted to her concern in piece of music. Lot of human beings include been receive in concern in her on departure to gigs and she's thought on if she could begin several type of public clubhouse in London for some youthful human beings who sense lone and love piece of music. Michelle has as well noted how the little, type things human beings do can assist, and she tries to do the identical herself. On the way to job, who smile at you on the pipe can do such a distinction, particularly if thou ve roused up since love the planet is on your shoulders. I go and get coffee in the house wherever I job, and the dame down there is so beautiful. How's my at first cooperation of the date? He's fair creature, careful how everyone is behavior in their own material, so be type. Do diminutive acts of goodness.